Happy Wednesday to you, everyone. So rainy day here, and I tell you what, I don't care where you live. With today's climate, anything that you'd bet on, I wouldn't bet on. I'd bet that even if you live in a climate that's dry, like a desert, I guarantee you're going to run into some rain. And when you run into that rain, you better be prepared for it if you're going to take your dog for a walk. Because I tell you what, it can be a miserable outing for both you and the dog when it's pouring down rain. And you just got to take your dog out. There's nowhere for it to go potty but outside, or you're going to be cooped up because there's going to be several days of rain in a row, and now you have a dog that's about ready to drive you crazy. So yeah, guys, walking your dog in the rain, it's inevitable. You're going to have to do it at some point if you own any sort of a medium to large dog. Might get away with it with these tiny little dogs on pee pads inside. But for the rest of us, you own a cattle dog like me, you got to get out there and get out there in it. So what are a couple things that you can do to make your walk pleasurable and also to avoid some hazards associated with walking? Well, number one thing I want you to do before you even go on a walk is check your radar. We got it nowadays, baby. We've got it. We have the technology. We got smartphones, computers, iPads, you name it. And therefore, make sure you check the radar and make sure your radar is kind of reliable. I don't know how many of you, but certainly for me, I cannot tell you how many times I looked on the radar and it just showed a little bit of green. Everything's going to be fine, no lightning, no wind. Oh yeah, until I'm at the furthest point from my house, and that's when it all changes. But it can at least give you a little bit of predictive information. So check your radar. Make sure you're not about to step out into a hailstorm, a tornado, a lot of lightning, heavy winds. Yeah, just avoid that. I'd rather clean up the mess in my house, honestly, than to deal with that. Okay, the next thing I need you to do is think about training your dog to an umbrella. If you're going to have an umbrella when you go for a walk, train your dog to be not afraid of it. You know, desensitize your dog. I remember when I first opened up one of these around Captain, he was a little bit worried about it. Yeah, he was. I mean, I opened it like a lot of dogs, and boom, there it went. And he went, what the heck was that? He's gone that way. Umbrella opened this way. It's kind of like a tug-of-war. I look like Mary Poppins on a really bad day. Getting yanked by the wind like this, Captain yanking me over here. I just let go of him. I knew he'd come back eventually. He knows how to come when called. But I desensitized him to that by opening up the umbrella and then following along here with a, hey, dude, what's up, man? And as you can see here, he could care less if this umbrella goes in, goes out, goes in, goes out. Doesn't matter. I can carry it over the head. He could care less. He's just looking around for something on the ground here. No big deal for him. So that's one thing I'm going to tell you to do for sure is desensitize your dog to an umbrella if you think you're going to use an umbrella. The other thing to think about when you go for a walk is if you can, walk in those areas in which you don't get a lot of rain on you. Good nature paths with a lot of trees. Those trees, like the ones back here, I'm telling you, these are nature's umbrella. Right here. That's an umbrella. So if you go for a walk underneath a lot of trees, you and your dog won't get as soaked. You won't be freezing by the time you get finished for that walk. If you live downtown, you can go underneath awnings like this one right here. You can go for a walk and now stay dry underneath the awnings. So you may need to adjust your route on any given day just so that you can deal with the weather and not be as miserable. Next thing you need to think about is clothing. Notice I have on a raincoat here today. I have on some gloves. I have a brimmed hat. Why a brimmed hat? Because I like to keep the water out of my eyes. I don't want the water in my eyes. Some dogs, they need to wear clothing. They can wear a wool coat. Captain has his own little wool coat right here. I kid you not, he's impervious to the rain. The rain doesn't bother him at all. He's one of these dogs that his coat sheds water quite easily. But if you have a dog whose coat does not shed water, like I talked about in the Can Dogs Swim video, then make sure for that dog, I would really think about maybe using a raincoat or a wool sweater if you think they're going to get cold. The neat thing about wool is this. It can get soaking wet, and yet it'll still keep you warm. So think about that for yourself. Wool can get wet and yet still keep you warm. They make rain gear for dogs. Just a nice little vest that you can put on your dog. Get them used to that as well. They're not used to having the vest on. Your whole walk will be spent walking your dog, trying to reach back here and pull that vest off nonstop. That's all they're trying to do. Just get at that vest, stop, scratch, trying to get it off. Get them used to it on a good weather day before you actually have to use it in the rain. And then last but least, I mean, hey, if you don't have a rain vest, it's pouring down rain, you don't have any of nature's umbrellas, you don't have a city to walk in, you're just going to be out in the middle of nothing. I mean, there's no shelter. Then you can also take a small trash bag, a plastic trash bag, cut about 4 holes in it, and or 5 actually, because it depends on the bag itself. Slide it right over the dog's head, put each leg through the bag, tie it off right there at the waist, and you're good to go. I mean, you may not be the most fashionable at that moment. You're walking your dog with a trash bag on it. But I'm telling you what, the dog doesn't care about how fashionable it is. The dog likes the fact that, wow, hey, this thing's keeping water off of me, and it's kind of bouncing some of my heat back on me and keeping me warm. So again, man, it's about comfort, about keeping your dog where he doesn't develop a conditioned response to rain and they're just miserable about it. I'm telling you what, if Captain hated the rain, he'd be wearing a trash bag, no doubt. Okay, and then also, lastly, when it comes to the training part, this could end up being a battle of wills. A battle of wills. And that means you want to go for the walk. You decided we're going to go for a walk. I don't care what the weather's like. We're going for a walk. You need to get out of my house, and you also need to go potty. Well, I tell you what, Captain walks easily. We just go. It's no big deal to him whatsoever. But if you try to take 2 of our other dogs for a walk, our 2 Morkies, Dave and Poe, oh, I wish you the best of luck. Thank goodness they're little, because I just pick them up, shove one in each pocket and go. And now I get somewhere to put them down. You would think they were part cat. They don't want to go out in the rain. They hate it. Poe will stand there like, oh, like you're the meanest and most hateful living being there is. So be ready to just say, you know what? We're going for this walk. And go. Just go. Make it happen. Because there's going to come a time in which you have to go for that walk. So like any sort of training, we always tell people, if you want your dog to be reliable in the response to any command, make sure under any condition, it has to be trained under that very condition. So yeah, you might have a soaking wet rat as for a dog, but I tell you what, if you do it enough, they will get used to it. They'll habituate to it. Also try to make it fun. With Captain, when I first took him out in the rain, I threw the ball. Yeah, we play with the ball. Try to have something that you can do with your dog, an activity that they really love out in the rain. Take with you the best treats that you can come up with for that given day. All right, you may be wet, but I'm telling you what, you're going to love these treats. All of these things will help make going out in the rain not as horrible for that particular animal. And same thing for you. There's nothing worse than having that feeling like, oh God, I'm sorry, I know you don't like it, I really don't like it either, and you just feel bad about it for the rest of the day because your dog's soaking wet and giving you that look like, have you ever thought about rehoming me? Maybe to somewhere like out in the desert, somewhere where we don't have all this rain, because I'm all for it. In fact, I'll go pack my own bags. Nothing like that. Okay, last thing I want to talk about real quickly are some safety concerns. There are safety concerns about walking your dog in the rain. You may not have thought of these, some of them you may have. Number 1, low visibility. When you're walking your dog in the rain, especially if it's pouring down, remember being a driver in that. Windshield wipers going, water on the windshield. If you walk in the street or near the street, watch out for that. If you're crossing a crosswalk, don't sit there and guarantee that they see you. They may on a good day, they just may not be on the day in which that rain is just pouring down on that windshield. Watch out for that. If you walk facing the traffic. That'll put your dog away from the traffic. So if your dog's a right side walking dog, get it used to walking on the other side. Give the good old switch command. Walk facing the traffic so you can see the traffic coming. You're aware of the fact that maybe this car is starting to swerve a little bit, slipping on the ice, hit a puddle of water. Be ready to take evasive action. And also your dog, I've pointed out in other videos, they do much better with oncoming traffic than traffic that comes up behind them. And then lastly, if it looks like you're both about to get soaked, I hate to say it, but I am going to say it because you know it's the truth. There are some drivers that if they see you on the side of the road and there's a puddle, they're going to aim for that puddle and get as close as they can because they get the biggest kick out of watching this tidal wave of water soak you. Yeah, but you know what it does for your dog? terrifies them. Don't let it happen. Get far away from that road if you see standing water near the edge of the road. Face that traffic, see it coming. Be ready for anything and everything when you're walking your dog out in the rain. The other thing is, watch out for that standing water for one more reason. Not just the one in which the car hits and it's all over you, but for the reason that depending upon how many days it's been raining, that standing water can now hold harmful bacteria. You could even have Giardia in it, leptospirosis. There's all sorts of harmful bacteria, junk, motor oil, anything that anyone's put into the drain system could suddenly be flowing right out on your streets. And if you get a dog around standing water, I guarantee you they're going to want to take a lick out of it. So watch out for that. Keep moving. Standing water, heel. Let's go. We're not going to stop right here if we don't have to. Keep moving so they don't drink out of that water. Keep an eye on pneumonia. If your dog gets super wet and their coats are not good, they don't have guard hair on their fur like Captain has here, his skin's not even getting wet. If they don't have that guard hair, watch out. They get super cold, they get super wet, and then next thing you know, they have an inflamed respiratory tract. And when they have an inflamed respiratory tract, it's downhill from there, and they could catch pneumonia from being too cold, too wet. Yeah, so watch out for that. You don't want hypothermia setting in. All right, and then the very last thing is lightning. Of course, I shouldn't even have to talk about that, but some people seem to have no concern about lightning. I do. I came very close to being struck by lightning. In fact, it was so close, me and a buddy of mine in the military, we were dazed by it. We were knocked down. There's just a bright flash, like a grenade going off in front of your face. And next thing you know, when I came to, he and I both looked like Don King. I kid you not. Every hair on our body was standing straight up at that moment. And there was a ringing in my ears for about 5 days. Ever since then, I've been a lot more leery of the fact that, yeah, how many people get struck by lightning? Well, it can be you and your dog that gets struck by that lightning. So if there's lightning, do me a favor. You get caught out there, you've gone a couple miles, you're turning around to come home, and all of a sudden there's lightning popping. Remember what I told you about these trees being umbrellas? Stay away from them. Get wet. Those trees are big lightning conductors, just like your umbrella. So they serve a great purpose when there's no lightning. They serve a very dangerous purpose when there is lightning. Do not crowd underneath a tree when there's lightning. Get away from anything that is tall. Do not even walk near it. And if the storm is really bad, lightning is cracking around you everywhere, then you and the dog should practice doing a downstay. Yeah, get wet. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to get as flat on the ground as possible, you and your dog, and just ride that out. It's going to pass over quickly. Let it go. But don't be standing up. Get as flat as possible on flat ground, away from any tall structures. Hold it there. Get your dog close to you and just ride it out. It's the best safety you can do. Don't try to zig and all of a sudden the lightning bolt throws a zag. Be careful with that. Lightning can kill you, and it kills hundreds of people every single year. All right, guys, other than that, enjoy your walk in the rain. Think of it like an adventure. Cow Dog and I, we get after it all the time in the rain. Weather doesn't stop us. I don't care if it's cold. The only thing that stops us is a really, really hot day. And I've talked about that on other videos. That'll kill a dog in a real hurry. But when it's cold, when it's wet, so what? Put on the rain gear. Put on the gear. Put on gloves. If you wear gloves that have sticky stuff on so you can hang on that leash a lot better than gloves that would be slippery, like some of the leather gloves when they become wet. Yeah, put on a brimmed hat. Keep the water out of your eyes. Put a coat on your dog if you need to. But get out there. Day like today, it's just a steady, soft rain. The good kind of rain. The soaker type of rain. Great day for you guys to get out there and do a little training in the rain. This is a good one. So just get after it. Get it done. All right, guys, that's it for today. Tomorrow I'll be coming at you with some other information. If you got anything that you want me to share on Facebook Live, send it to me. Glad to cover it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe. Cow Dog, good job, buddy. Good job, man. You did good.